Hi, children. Good morning to you all. I hope you are fresh and just got up from the sleep. And it's so nice to read in the morning. Yes, it's a very good habit to read in the morning, and it's a wonderful habit to read in the night as well. Reading, all in all, just makes you feel so fresh, makes you learn about the world. I'm here to continue with the next part, or maybe the last part, of An Alien Hand, which I picked up from the Alien Hand book itself. Yes, I've got these sticky notes because I've been preparing so many notes for myself. If you remember, I'll just give you a quick recap of the story which I just narrated. It was the first part of An Alien Hand. The characters here are Tillu, his father, his mother. They are living under the surface of Mars, the planet Mars. Yes, Mars. And they can't go above the surface because of the improper living conditions there. The sun had turned hostile long time back, and everybody in the Mars is living under the surface. They had made tunnels to get on the surface, but only some specific and particular people are allowed to go on the surface to make some kind of maintenance of the machines and some kind of research work if required, and nobody else was allowed to go on the surface of the planet, that is the Mars. Now Tillu, a small boy, this is a cute boy here, who is very curious that where his dad goes each day. And he just wants to follow him. He is very anxious about it. And one day, without telling anybody, his mother or his father, he picks up the security card of his dad, of his father, and just goes the way where his dad used to go. That day, his dad was in a siesta. That means a quick short nap. He was at home. And Tillu just goes the way where his dad goes each day, every day. But he's caught by the security guards and sent back home, where his mother gets really very annoyed, and she is anxious, at the same time worried about his security, because it is not possible for anybody, any normal human being, any normal person, to stay on the surface without being getting affected by the harsh climate over there, which is extremely cold now because the sun is not shining the way it used to. Tillu's curiosity is very natural because he hasn't seen the nature at all. He hasn't seen the sun, the moon, the stars, the birds, the grass, the trees, anything. So that is what the reason is for his sneaking around on the surface, but he's not able to see the surface as yet. Now coming to the next part. Next day, when Tillu's father went to work, he found the control room full of excitement. It's Tillu's father who has to go for the work, and next day when he goes to the work, he finds that there are many people in the control room. Now he is operating from a control room. Everything is being controlled by the machine, the devices, the technological gadgets. So he is in the control room, and there's a lot of excitement, lots of hustle, bustle, lot of noise, crowd in the control room. People were crowded around the big TV screen. There's a round screen which you must have watched in the documentaries on Discovery or in the television or in certain movies. There's a round big screen which is giving them the know-how and the information of what's happening around their planet, or maybe on the surface of the planet. It showed a dot in an otherwise clear background. So from this screen, now try to imagine this, from this screen, they can see whatever is happening around on the planet, on the surface of the planet. And they observe the screen each and every moment. Now, why all this noise, why all this excitement and hustle bustle is going around in the control room? Because today they just observed a small dot on the background, on the screen. The screen is otherwise absolutely clear, but today there's a small dot, and that has created a doubt in their mind that what is this small dot all about? Why is this suddenly here? It isn't a star, for it's changing its position. Our computer has given a trajectory for this thing. It's heading towards us, the supervisor of the last shift explained. Now, each and every thing over there, each and every category over there has a supervisor, has a person who is heading it, has an executive who's implementing things. This particular supervisor, who was of the last shift, explains one thing, that this dot is not a star. Stars are static. They might be moving, but if you see them at a glance, even if you see them carefully, you feel that they are there for a long time. They just don't move. But this particular dot was changing its position. It was moving, maybe at a slow, but it was continuously moving at a particular speed. And our computer has given a trajectory. What is a trajectory? Trajectory is a path. Yes, it's a path for this particular dot, and the dot is heading towards their own planet. So that's actually a worrisome thing. That's a bothersome thing. That is something which can disturb the entire planet or the well-being of the entire planet. If something which is unknown, which is alien to them, is coming to their planet, it can be for any purpose. A spacecraft, Tillu's father asked. By now he was joined by his teammates on the new shift. So he was there, his teammates were there. New shift, that means the old shift, the night shift probably, or the hourly shift was changing and new people were coming in. So he was there, his team was there, and suddenly Tillu's father thought that it could be a spacecraft. We all know what is a spacecraft. A craft which moves around in the space for certain purposes, maybe research, maybe scientific reasons. So we think, but it needs watching. So what the reply he got? We think that it's a spacecraft, but we need to watch it. We need to observe it. A spacecraft, where from? The solar system wasn't known to have any life anywhere else except on their planet. The way we on Earth feel, and we have been exploring all the planets around as much as possible, we feel that we haven't found any life as yet on any planet on the solar system. Wherever approachable, we try to go there, with be it moon, be it Mars, but we haven't found any life. So same is the case with these people who live on Mars. They feel that where this spacecraft is coming from, they never know about any kind of life anywhere else in the entire universe, in the entire cosmos, in the entire solar system. So if there is a life, then this spacecraft can actually happen. But there is no life. So from where this spacecraft is coming? The solar system wasn't known to have any life anywhere else except on their planet. Tillu's father recalled the ancient days recorded in the archives at the Central Bureau when their ancestors had a well-developed space program and had searched the solar system with manned and unmanned spacecraft and found that they were indeed alone. Now Tillu's father is recalling. What is recalling? It's just remembering and discussing it with his teammates and members there, that olden days his ancestors, that means his predecessors, great grandfathers, they used to research. They had a lot of equipments, a lot of energy to research around, and they had sent many spacecraft from Mars which were manned and unmanned. Manned is a spacecraft or a machine which can have human crew or a human team, and unmanned is just the opposite of it. That means no human crew. It's just full of machines and digital stuff. So his forefathers, that means his parents, grandparents and ancestors, they had sent the spacecrafts to just research around in the solar system if any life is possible, if any life is existing, and they felt that there is no life around. So now from where this particular spacecraft is coming, that is the question number one. They could only watch impotently from their vantage point. Who were these strangers? They could only watch impotently. Impotently here means helplessly. They can't just move around. They have less energy. They can't just go and fight around, or they can't just face this particular dot, because they really don't know what this dot is all about. They could be some attacking enemies which can prove to be fatal or very deadly for their own planet, that is Mars. But here they can just helplessly and patiently wait for what will happen now and what will happen to the spacecraft. Any alien is coming, any machine would be coming out. Vantage point. What is vantage? A place which gives a very good view. That is vantage. You are standing at a certain point where you can see the things very clearly, but you yourself are hidden at a safe distance. You are not in trouble yourself. The conference room in the Central Bureau was so quiet that an outsider would have thought it was empty. Far from it. Now it was completely quiet because observation was going on. Everybody had their anxious levels there. What is there in the spacecraft or whatever they think that dot is all about. And people who would be out would be thinking that there's nobody in the conference room, but it was completely jam packed. It was completely crowded with people and the members and the scientists and the researchers, and it was pin drop silence. There was nobody who was uttering a single word or uttering a single shit. Not even that. It was full to capacity, but the members of the Central Committee were unusually quiet. They knew that the president was going to make a momentous announcement. Now, their team was led by the president, and they were all just thinking about the president, who definitely was a much more intelligent guy and who had the decision-making power. So they were just looking at the president and thinking that what will the president say now? Definitely the president will make certain announcements, certain decisions he will take regarding this dot which has suddenly appeared on the big screen. Colleagues, I will give you the report as I have it. While I speak, there may be a change in the situation. The president paused to get his papers in order and then continued. Now he is telling his people, colleagues, that's the way he saluted them or represented them or called them or wanted to, refer to them. I will give you the report as I have it. He has also been working on this. His entire team has been working on this particular dot which has appeared. And while he said that while I would be speaking, I will be telling the report, I will be reading all the things to you and giving you entire information, the things might change because this dot is moving. This dot is not static. It's not stagnant. It's not still at a place. It's moving. So things definitely might change in the space. He continued with his papers in his hand. 2 spacecrafts are approaching us. Now, it was not just one. There were 2. 2 spacecrafts were coming towards their planet. And that's what was the observation was all about. One is in fact orbiting our planet. Orbiting is moving in that orbital path in an oval manner. If you have observed the solar system, the spacecraft can move in the oval path and orbit. So one is orbiting our planet while the other is still far away. The one which is orbiting is that dot which can be seen, and the other is quite far from their planet. We guess that they are coming from our neighboring planet. How should we react? Number 1, your views please. Now the president also needs some kind of opinions, some kind of advices, because this is the first kind of situation, the first time situation. He has never ever faced any such thing in his life where certain dots or certain aliens or certain unwanted, undesired, unforeseen things have appeared on the big screen. So he wanted some advices and opinions of his team members, of his juniors, of his staff. So he says that we feel that these, spacecrafts are coming from our neighboring planet. But how should we react? What should we do? There can be many A, B, and C and Z plans about this. We can attack, we can suppress ourselves, we can just get underground and not let them know that we exist, and many other things. So here the technicians or the researchers or the scientists are given numbers. Number 1 is the kind of ID number, or you can say kind of the bill number which is there, or the tag number which the scientists hold. So number 1 is a scientist or a researcher. You can consider that. Number 1 was in charge of defense. So he was the defense person. You can call him a defense minister in your own way. He was known for his courage and wisdom. This particular person who was number 1, he was very strong, very brave, intelligent in that ways that he was able to take care of the defense side of the planet. So if we wish, we can totally destroy these spacecraft with our missiles. His opinion. Why should we wait? We can just kill these people because they can be in attacking mode. They can come here to capture us. They can just destroy us completely. So before they try to do something, let us completely destroy them. His opinion goes like that. But that won't make us any wiser. Now he's expanding his thought and he's saying that, if we attack, if we just finish off this spacecraft with our missiles, we won't be wise. Why? Let's see. We do not have the capacity to render these craft unoperational in space, but should they land, we can render them ineffective anytime we choose. Now, they don't have that much of energy. They are creating energy by the sun, but with a lot of difficulty. So we do not have the capacity to render. What is render? To give. These craft unoperational in space. We don't have the capacity to make them completely unoperational in space. We can't go out in the space and fight against them and destroy them. We don't have that. So, but should they land, we can render them ineffective anytime we choose. So let them land on the surface of Mars. Then we can try to make them ineffective. Ineffective. What is ineffective? Ineffective is completely without any power, without any strength. We can make them null. We can make them powerless. Once they are on our land, we can do whatever we want. But in space, it's really difficult. Our reports say that they do not contain living beings, they only have instruments. Now here, the reports, the scientific discoveries or the research says that in the machines, in the spacecrafts, there is no human being. They are just machines, they are just technological devices which are operating the spacecraft. So since they are not owned or driven by the human beings, it is easy to just make them ineffective. Had been humans being there, we can expect more and more reactions. But since machines are there, since they are unmanned, we can actually take care of them very nicely without being very destructive, without losing much of our own energy. Number 2, your opinion, please. Now, number 2 is another scientist, and the president asked the scientist on the committee. I recommend non-interference and passive observation since we do not know the power of the senders of these spacecraft and we are still in the dark about their intentions. Number 2 is of a different opinion. He doesn't want to attack. He doesn't want to finish off, be it in the space, be it on the land. He says that we should not interfere at all. Whatever is happening, let it happen. Let us stay calm. Let us be quiet. Let us be passive observers. Means let's indirectly conceal ourselves, hide ourselves, and observe, keenly look at them. We don't know the power of the senders of the spacecraft. That's a very valid point. That's a very good point because they need to be safe. And if they try to attack and this person on the sender of the spacecraft is much more powerful, then definitely all of them would finish in a jiffy. So this was a better idea and we are still in the dark about their intentions. What are their intentions? What are their thought process? Why they have sent her? We don't know what they want from us. उनको हमसे क्या चाहिए हमें नहीं पता. And we are in the dark. That means we don't know. We are clueless. It is wise not to reveal our existence. Why not to hide ourselves completely? Let them do whatever they want. Let not them know that we even live here. We even exist here. We are surviving here. If we destroy these spaceships or render them ineffective, we might reveal our existence. Supposingly, we are able to destroy these spacecrafts completely. But what about the sender? The moment we destroy these spacecrafts, some signals will go to the sender that somebody has destroyed the spacecrafts. Then what? So isn't it a better idea to just conceal yourself and not give your identity to the senders? The president looked at number 3, a social scientist. Now, after number 1, it was number 2, and after number 2, it was number 3 who was a social scientist. The first one was what? Number 1. He was a defense expert. Then number 2, who was number 2? I think it's not mentioned. And number 3, he was a social scientist. He rarely agreed with number 2. They were always at loggerheads, probably the way it happens in your professional life. If there are two people, they keep on fighting. So number 3 never agreed with number 2. But this was one of those rare occasions where he did. He actually thought that number 2 is absolutely correct. We should not try to fight with the guests, unwanted guests who are there moving around in this spacecraft. We should just hide ourselves completely, and that's the best idea. I agree with number 2, sir. In fact, I will go so far as to say that we should keep our surface activities to the minimum, thus creating the impression that there is no life on this planet. Fortunately, our surface conditions do give that impression. And he just suggested, he gave one more important valid point here, that let us completely hide ourselves, one thing. Secondly, we should not move much on the surface. We should just give an impression that it's a dead land, it's a dead planet, and there is nobody. We should completely minimize our activities on the surface. As it is, the surface was not very full of hustle bustle. It was a very quiet place to be on. So our surface conditions do give that impression of nobody living over there. So we can just give that impression too, to stay safe. Before the president could speak, his personal telephone rang. He lifted the receiver and listened quietly for a minute. Colleagues, he announced, the first spacecraft has landed. Yes, the first spacecraft was there. And if you remember, in the beginning of my first video of Alien Hand, I told you about the Viking mission, Viking 1 and Viking 2. One was lander, one was orbiter. And this particular, the one which has landed, is the lander. In the end of the story, you will be able to match the following. You'll be able to solve this puzzle, and you'll feel that it's the most interesting story ever. Coming to the third part, I'm continuing here. I hope I'll be able to do that today. It was a red letter day in Tilu's life. What is a red letter day? Red letter day means a memorable day, a very important day. Why? The day he was waiting for. For his father had at last taken him to the control room. His father took him to the control room, and that was a very long time dream of Tilu. He just wanted to be there. From here, he could see the alien spacecraft on his TV screen. He could just see the spacecraft today. And it was something he just wanted to do for a very, very long time. What a funny looking thing, Daddy. What does it contain? Tilu asked this question. He was a small child, and then it looked so funny. He had never seen a spacecraft in his life. And he said, Daddy, it looks so funny. And what is there inside? What does it contain? Isme kya hai? His father shook his head. Can't say for sure. I really don't know, my son. We are only allowed to observe it from far. We can just see it from far. We can't go there. We can't see it. No. It can be very unsafe. It can be very risky and dangerous. So stay. Don't go. We can't go. So don't even ask. But we control all its parts and can exercise our power if it is up to any mischief. But we have the power, we have the energy to control it. If it does any mischief means any unwanted stuff, any action which can disturb us or harm us, we can exercise our power. We can just completely overpower this spacecraft and teach them a lesson. We have that. He pointed to an impressive panel with several colored buttons on it. And while saying this, that we have the power, he just, made Tilu look at a panel. Panel, it is, if you can imagine, it's just like a keyboard, but it is not a small keyboard. It's not that piano of yours. It is a huge panel which has got several colored buttons, and that will take care of the spacecraft. Now, Tilu looked at them wistfully. What is wistfully? Wistfully means he was really curious. What is all this? What all these buttons are all about? Look, it's up to something, Daddy. Tilu suddenly noted some movement in the spacecraft. There was some movement, and Tilu noticed that something is moving on the screen. Others in the control room saw it too. All eyes were now glued to the screen. Everybody was looking very carefully, very observantly on the screen. A mechanical hand was emerging from the spacecraft. It was approaching the surface of the planet. It bent and touched the soil. What was it up to? This spacecraft, which had no movement till now, a mechanical hand comes out of that spacecraft and touches the surface of the Mars and picks up some soil. What is happening actually? People crowded towards the screen for a closer look. And everybody was, just with controlled heartbeats, everybody was looking at that. The telescopic lens of the TV camera zoomed into the tip of the mechanical hand, and all the lenses, they were just zoomed on the mechanical hand to have that keen sharp look. What is this mechanical hand all about? Tillu was staring at the control panel and its attractive buttons. But where was Tillu's all center of the mind? He was just concentrating on that keyboard, on that control panel, on those colorful buttons. And what attracted him the most was that red button. And out of all, he just wanted to touch that red button. He moved. There was a shrill whistle, and Tillu found himself the center of attraction. And the moment he just touched the button, everybody started, shouting. Just crowd started not cheering, actually started to object on that. The whistling, the security whistle was on, and Tillu was there, startled, shocked, because everybody was looking at him. His father pulled him away roughly and restored the red button to neutral position, but the damage was done. And by that time, somebody could actually control him. His father just pulled him and he wanted to stop him, but it was already done. The button was pushed. The mechanical hand from the spacecraft ceased to work, and the mechanical hand, which was about to pick the soil or maybe picked up the soil, it stopped then and there. And what is happening on the other hand on the Earth in NASA? Let's see. At a press conference held by NASA, a scientist was briefing the world press. Everything has been going on smoothly with the Viking mission. There is a small hitch. What is a hitch? A small problem. And that is the mechanical hand, which was to dig out the Martian soil, that is the soil of the Mars, was for examination, has developed a malfunction. It has stopped functioning suddenly. We don't know the cause, but our technicians are confident they'll sort it out. And shortly afterwards, there was another press release from NASA. The mechanical hand is working again thanks to the efforts of our technicians. Soil samples are being collected and examined. Soon we will know the answer to the question whether there is life on Mars or not. Life on Mars. Of all the planets in our solar system, Mars is nearest in location and physical conditions on Earth, on our Earth. So the scientists behind the Viking mission were hopeful of finding life on Mars, but they were in for a disappointment. The Viking mission found no signs of life on Mars. The chapter is by J.Narlikar, and I will explain you the last two paragraphs. It means that the moment Tillu pressed the red button or pushed the red button, that mechanical hand stopped. But the team was able to just reverse the damage, and the moment it was set upright, this hand started moving again. Now this hand was sent by NASA, our American association, the scientific association, and the NASA has to give reports from time to time that what is happening in the orbit, what is happening in the solar system, what is happening to its spacecraft. And they gave one notification that the mechanical hand has got some problem and it's not moving. And that was the time when Tillu had pushed the red button. And the moment it was rectified, the moment it was corrected, the mechanical hand started moving again. But no one was able to know that this was done by some kind of people or some kind of life which was existing under the surface of the Mars. And so the last report from NASA was that there is no life on Mars, and the Viking mission was completely successful till now. We are still moving around. We are trying to find some life on Mars, but we are in for a disappointment. At the moment, there is no life. And the Viking mission found no signs of life on Mars. So As I told you earlier, this is a fiction. This is a fiction which states that there is some life on Mars. All the story about Tilu's father and the people living under the surface of Mars is a fiction. It's a made up story. It's just imagination, course of imagination. It's not real. But it has been connected to the Viking mission, which actually happened in reality. And in the Viking missions, it was stated that no life is there on the Mars. Had there been a life on the Mars, it could have been like this, and this is all imagination of our great J.Narlikar. This is the end of the story, and I hope you like the narration. Do like, watch, share, and subscribe. And if you want to know more about the story, more about Mr. J.Narlikar, more about his fiction tales, which are absolutely amazing and mind blowing, just do contact me. Till then, take care.